Okay, so one of the other things we want to make sure that you do as a communications director is we want to make sure that you care about what you're doing in the right way. Okay, so here are a few points that help you understand this idea of caring for communications within the context of your church. So we need to, first of all, care about the vision of the ministry. So what is the vision that God has given to your leadership for the ministry? We need to learn what that is as a church communicator and internalize that, make that part of our DNA so that as we produce whatever content we're going to produce, like the vision is deep within us and it comes out through our communication.
That's so good. And the thing is, it's like when you take a certain level of care about, and just this idea of vision. Vision allows people to know where we're going, right? And if you're leading people, you need to be reinforcing the idea of where we're going. Everybody needs to understand where we're going, because what happens is if we're not unified to one vision, then there's division, right? So it's getting a great level of care for it. What that may look like is a lot of conversations with your leadership, right? And this is both from just the overarching ministry level, but this is also applies to like some of the smaller stuff. So maybe it's like a sermon series. Like you need to understand like where is your pastor going with this sermon series? Like what's their idea? What are they trying to get across, right? And like you need to understand the vision, because then your role as a communication director is to help communicate that in through different mediums, right? Um, let's see what else do we have here. It's okay. It's this idea of um, well, also within. Let me touch on design as well, right? So let's say, for example, if it's a sermon series, you understand where your pastor's going with it. For example, one of my clients today, I sent them a message asking them like, "Hey, what's your vision behind it?" Right? Perfect example. I asked them like, "Hey, what's your vision behind this?" Because I needed to understand like, is there any certain visual elements that we need to begin incorporating into this design, right? So that means that like, so then that whole design package that I'm putting together, there's gonna be continuity, there's gonna be consistency, and there's going to be context to what we're talking about.
Yeah, so it's as a communications director, you're not necessarily the one that's coming up with the vision. Like, we're just serving that, we're stewarding that vision really well. And I think if you kind of have that mentality of like it's just you're just very open-handed, to serve your leadership well, then you're gonna love what you do, and people are gonna love what you produce for them. So that's the mindset. You're a servant leader. Like you're leading them as they are leading, within the context of the church. So one of the things we do with Church Brand Guide is we create, brands like logos, websites, different things like that. Well, we have to learn the vision. Like it's not my vision for what this church is. They might be in a completely different part of the country, but I need to learn what their vision is, and then I need to serve that vision well. I need to choose the right colors, the right fonts, the right graphic style that serves that vision really well. So we need to serve the people that are in leadership within the church by using our abilities, our knowledge, our know-how to then deliver to them what they're asking for in their vision. Now, one of the things that you have to realize is that they don't know design language, they don't know design terminology. They're ministers of the gospel, and they should be really, really good at that and not really have to learn Adobe
That's right.
Photoshop. They don't need to know how to create a clipping mask in Photoshop and all those different things. But what we can do is serve them well by using their words. Like, so that's one of the things that whenever we present, let's say it's a logo for a church, one of our clients, we present it with their words. Hey, you said you wanted to be a community church, a church that is in the community, serving your city really, really well. So based on what you said, here's the design. And so we actually create a punch list of all the different things that they said they wanted to communicate as a church, as a brand. And then as we design, we're just making sure we're hitting that punch list. And so this could be like a logo design, but it also could be like an event design. Like maybe there's a men's ministry event, And the leader is saying, hey, we want men to come and fellowship. Like that's the main point. Like it's just
Mhm.
it's a fun event, like not super deep and spiritual. This one's just fun, and we're just gonna fellowship and have a good time. Well, then when we create that promotion, we need to make sure that that vision is reflected in the design. We are going to create something super dramatic if the idea is for the event to be fun and playful. So then when we present that design back to the leaders, like, here's the design. Hey, you said you want to be fun, so we chose bright colors, orange and yellow, and these are fun, playful colors, and that's why and then this font right here, it's super playful, it's fun, and it communicates exactly what you said you wanted to communicate. So use their words to then serve them and present that design.
Yeah, that's good. Now the next idea within this when we talk about care, it's caring for your team, your volunteers, your staff, right? And again, a great way to care for those people is by you first caring about the overall vision, right? And then communicating that vision to them, right? But again, it's like when you show people a great level of care, that's when you're going to build people up that are going to stick with you for the long haul, right? You never want to make people feel like they're just fulfilling a task, but you actually need to get them to understand that they're actually fulfilling a mission, right? So that's one thing that like you really need to care about is you need to care about people, right? And I know for me, a lot of times I can care more about projects and getting things done, right? And if you're kind of like me, right, where you sometimes care more about projects, then what you'll find yourself doing is you'll just do the thing that you assign to somebody because you need to get it done, and then you'll just forget about the person. But instead of focusing on projects because they need to get done, I would focus on people, right, and build systems with people in mind.
That's so good. I think that's one of the greatest things that I had the privilege of doing, was creating systems that took care of the team that served underneath my leadership when I was at one of the churches that I served at as communications director. So the next 3 points kind of go with the care for your team. So if you define the win in advance, then you're able to care for your team because they know how to win. Like, they know how to design so that they can win. They know how to create a video so that they can win. And ultimately, you're caring for your leadership because you're defining that win in advance. You're asking that leader, hey, what is the win for this event? And then you're able to deliver that, communicate that so that they can win. You want to define a checklist in advance. A checklist basically just helps people to know exactly what the objectives are to help them get to the win. So again, that's not my natural bent, but what I had to learn to do as a communications director was be a person that loved checklists because I love to care for people, because not because I enjoy getting out a spreadsheet, but because I enjoy being able to care for people well, and it allows more creativity to happen. If the checklist
Yeah,
is in place, then we actually get to do some really amazing work. It's amazing. And then also we want to celebrate the wins. So if we're going to care for our team, like, we need to make sure they understand when they win. Like, hey, our event, like, I remember we promoted this men's event at one of the churches that I served at, and we had this really great brainstorming session and met with the leadership, and we did it right. And from top to bottom, that promotion campaign was executed really, really well. And at the end of it, I went to the leader of the event. I was like, okay, tell me the numbers. How many men were there? Like, how many people responded to the salvation, call, all those things. And then I went back and I made sure I communicated that to my team. It's like, hey man, this was the largest men's event in the history of the church. Great job. You did a great job creating that ad. You did a great job creating that landing page on the website. The video you created was amazing. Good job. People responded to it. So we just need to make sure we celebrate, we pause, and we just don't move on to the next thing. I think we're all guilty of that. So again, care for your team. Also care for your leadership by doing those 3 points towards the bottom there. Define the win, create that checklist, and celebrate those wins.
that's good. And just remind, I think this is John Maxwell quote. It's like this idea of like or maybe it's Craig Rochelle, but like people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care, right? So that's the greatest thing that a leader can do for anybody that's on the journey with you is just show them a great sense of care.